Hello, little witchlings and princelings, and welcome to your weekly Coven Summoning. My name is Ilsa.
And my name is Stacy.
And we're Caffeine and Conjuring,
a fantasy bookish podcast where we will discuss some of our favorite fantasy reads.
What an exciting episode we have today.
This feels like everything that happens in these 10 chapters feels like it could be, like 2 different books.
Yeah.
Like, there's so much that happens in these chapters. Oh, and I can't wait till we get to a specific chapter.
I don't even want to know yet. So before we get into today's episode, make sure that you've read up to chapter 59 of Queen of Shadows so nothing gets spoiled for you. Now, in our last episode, we ended off, everyone is gone to the shadow market to make their way down to the catacombs. They're looking for Hellfire to take down the clock tower.
And free magic.
And free
chaos will
magic.
Ensue.
Bring back the fire-breathing bitch.
Yes. I felt when we pick up with this chapter, I fell asleep like 3 or 4 times. I'm not going to lie. It took a little bit to get back in. I don't know what it is about this chapter, but
I might need to disable my camera for a couple chapters. I was reading it, I read this, these chapters, 2 hours ago. But I'm reading it and I'm like, there's no way I'm gonna be able to not spoil so many things with my face if I don't turn off my camera.
Oh boy.
So do I just go the whole episode being smiley like this and then just
yes,
because this is my default, yes. This is the face that I make when I know something. So if I just stay like this all episode, you'll never know. And I can just look crazy the entire time.
Flawless. I love this approach. Let's see if you can keep it up for an hour.
My cheeks already hurt.
Yeah.
So hopping into chapter 50, Aelin, Rowan, Aelin, and Kale are in the catacombs under Rifthold. But it's not just the catacombs. It's an ancient temple built entirely of human bones. A place where people apparently confess their sins to the bones. Ugh. It's very disturbing.
Oh.
And they all have bad juju feelings going down there. They're all like, I don't like this. This is bad. This is nope, let's get in, get out now.
Yeah.
As they search for the hidden hellfire, they realize the writing on the bones gets older the deeper they go, with some confessions dating back hundreds of years. Aelin takes out Damaris, her sword, and talks about how it's also called the Sword of Truth, possibly blessed by a forgotten god of truth. I know we talked about this before, but that sword relating to another weapon somewhere else. I don't want to put any spoilers in here for anything else, so I'm not going to go any further. But if you know, you know.
I was just going to say that.
So the real shocking discovery comes when Aelin, using Damaris, activates a hidden stone wall at the back of the temple covered in word marks. She deciphers the carvings, which reveals the true history of Elena and Gavin. They didn't kill the Valg king, Erwin, as history claims. Instead, they merely imprisoned him using the Eye of Elena, Aelin's amulet, in an indestructible tomb beneath the mountains.
Oh, I wonder what mountain that is.
I love when they piece it together, and she's like, Rowan, how do you say whatever description, Black Mountains, I think?
Yeah.
How do you say Black Mountains in the old language? Morath.
Yep. Didn't see that one coming.
So, with the discovery that the Black Mountains is Morath, this means the king has likely been raising Erwin, or is about to lead this new Valg army. Aelin realizes they need to act fast, especially with the summer solstice, when her magic will be the strongest, just 10 days away. So many solstices in these books.
I know, I love it.
Aelin confirms he found the Hellfire supply, and Aelin's counting on a large shit ton of it to achieve their goals. This reveal changes everything. The history they thought they knew was a complete lie, and a powerful Valg King is now a very real threat. This smiling is hurting so much.
I can see. Oh my god. Like, I need more about Elena and Gavin. Like, that sounds like it would be such an epic story. Like, I want like a novella or something.
Yeah.
But then chapter 51. So pretty well all of Manon's chapters, it's been obvious she's been having a very rough time with everything. She's been after beating Astrid multiple times. Elide is being kind of judgmental. But now it gets even worse. So Manon gathers the 13 and asks them to pick another Blackbeak coven to be subjected to the Duke's horrific breeding program. I think that was the last thing that we ended with, was him wanting Manon to pick another coven. But here's the kicker. The 13, seemingly taking Astrid's lead, refuse. They tell Manon they'd rather sacrifice themselves than let their sisters be used as sacred vessels for demon offspring. Astrid even dares Manon to kill her, reminding Manon that her grandmother would be proud. Just as Manon is about to explode with rage, the door bursts open and in walks a young man with golden hair and a blackstone collar. This is the same guy that Elide saw with the yellow legs witches. He was very handsome. I never clued in to this at all. Like, I did not expect this. So he's able to get past like their guards, which he shouldn't have, but he managed to project like this wave of darkness, and it sends some of the 13, only some of them, into like they're ballistic. They're just terrifying screams. Manon, driven by fury, and she has like the flashback to the Kraken witch who talked about how the Blackbeaks were raised. She just tackles him, and she quickly realizes that he's possessed by a demon. Astrid helps pin him down, and Manon demands to know who sent him. And for a moment, the human that's inside, it's Roland. Like, what the hell? Starts like begging for death. But then the demon reasserts control, and he's like screaming to get away. And Manon, seeing that the demon's power only affected witches with ordinary eye color, here we are again, Sarah. Emphasis on eye color. And it doesn't affect those of the 13 that have the prized Blackbeak gold eyes. So her, Astrid, Sorrel, Vesta, Lynn, and Imogen.
I think it's like the most we've ever heard, like the 13 names mentioned at one time.
I
It's
know.
always like the 3.
Yep. And then Manon rips his head off. Like, oh my
Goodbye,
god.
Roland. You poor
like,
fucker, you.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So the darkness vanishes and all the affected witches are still sobbing and puking and getting over this big whatever happened. Then Manon orders the body disposed of, realizing this was a terrifying reminder of the Valg's power, but it only affected some of them. Later, Manon confronts Kaltain. Manon pins her against a wall, demanding to know the source of her power and how to remove her collar. Kaltain eerily responds that the Shadowfire is now the power of every world, every life. And she says that her collar does not come off, and she also chillingly says they want kings, not you. As Manon presses her, Kaltain touches Manon's wrist, inflicting an illusion of excruciating burning pain that makes Manon recoil. Kaltain then calmly walks away, leaving Manon shaken and disturbed, questioning her own actions and the true nature of the evil they face. Oh my god. The more Kaltain is brought into this, the more I'm like, what the hell is she? Like, like this is bonkers. And I know we get an even better, I guess, glimpse into what's going on inside her later, and it was so cool. But yeah, so Manon's world is like just getting rocked left, right, and center. Like the defiance of the 13, the demon's power, Kaltain's cryptic words, and they're just all pushing her to question everything that she's been taught.
Yeah.
Oh my god. And it only gets like worse from here.
Yeah, this is a wild set of chapters.
It is. Like, what?
So, chapter 52, and it's a long chapter. Kale is trying to process everything, feeling a strange relief that he is working with Aelin and her court instead of against them. He watches as Rowan helps Aelin out of the sewer, a moment of unbridled tenderness between them that surprisingly doesn't spark jealousy in Kale, just a sense of relief that Aelin has Rowan by her side. Suddenly, Nestrin arrives, looking pale. She delivers grim news from Ren. The king is building a massive army in Morath, including Valg foot soldiers and a terrifying 3,000 strong aerial cavalry of Iron Teeth witches riding wyverns. This confirms their worst fears about Erwin and the impending war. Aelin realizes the king is waiting for her to make her move. She thanks Nestrin for the information, and Nestrin responds with a simple, "Long live the queen."
Boy.
Aelin is not handling this well. She storms off, completely overwhelmed by the scale of the threat. Rowan, ever the protector, tries to comfort her, promising they'll face it together to whatever end. He says it again, and I die inside of happiness.
Mm-hmm.
But then, being the cockblock that he is, Lorcan pops out of nowhere and puts a knife to Aelin's throat. Lorcan, for once, spills some major tea. Is trying to be the surreal up in here. He reveals that Maeve murdered Athril to get the Wordstone ring. This ring grants immunity from Valg enslavement. So Rowan unknowingly gave Maeve her own immunity when he gave her that ring. Lorcan claims he's trying to stop Maeve from becoming a god and destroying everything, and he offers to trade Aelin's word key for the ring so he can destroy them all. Rowan's mind is blown. But he has to stay calm to keep Aelin safe. Lorcan vanishes, leaving them reeling. Yeah, that's wild.
Mm-hmm. I still don't know if we fully trust Lorcan because it just seemed to, I don't know. I don't know how to put it into words. It was just very convenient, I guess.
Yeah.
That he's there, like, he's gonna trade the ring for how, and, like, even they question how did he get away alive with the ring.
Now, like, he did make a good point because he's like, I'm bound to protect her.
Yes.
And by destroying the word keys would be protecting her from herself.
Yeah.
So, like, there's that. So you're definitely, like, thrown into the, what do I think about him right now?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know what to do.
I'm very much leaning towards him being, like, being a good guy, or at least, like, a, I don't know, kind of parallel to good.
Only time will tell.
Mm-hmm.
Back at the apartment, Aelin and Rowan are a mess. Aelin's still hurting from the knife, and Rowan is consumed with guilt for not being able to protect her. He confesses how much he missed her, how he'd find her even in death, and how terrifying it was to see her in danger. Aelin, in a rare moment of deep trust, bares her throat to him, a super significant gesture in the Fae world, showing ultimate vulnerability. This scene.
I know.
There is something internally wrong with my brain, but Rowan, trembling with restraint, gently grazes his teeth against her skin. Is incredibly intimate, but he stops himself, saying that he wants to take his time, and those walls are thin. They both acknowledge that things have been changing between them, but the looming war with the witches, wyverns, and a resurrected Val King forces them to put their undeniable connection on hold for now. Boo. Boo. And Stacy has a quote highlighted, which I absolutely love this part. I missed you when I was in Wendelin. I lied when I said I didn't. From the moment you left, I missed you so much I went out of my mind. I was glad for the excuse to track Lorcan here just to see you again. And tonight, when he had that knife to your throat, the warmth of his calloused fingers bloomed through her as he traced a path over the cut on her neck. I kept thinking about how you might never know that I missed you with only an ocean between us. But if it was death separating us, I would find you. I don't care how many rules it would break. Even if I had to get all 3 keys myself and open a gate, I would find you again. Always.
Another series to put emphasis on always and just
God.
make me die.
Why are human men so fucking boring?
Yep. Fair. So chapter 53, surprise. It's short. We're back with the princeling. He's still obviously completely taken over by the demon. And the demon is like coaxing Dorian to savor the pain and fear and memories that are leaking from a prisoner that's on the dungeon floor.
Yummy.
And Dorian is still struggling. Yeah, it doesn't paint a very nice picture. Dorian is still struggling with this, but he seems to relinquish a little more of himself in this chapter. He says he hated himself because all the despair coming from the man was intoxicating. He found it was strength, life. He's learning to like what the demon is making him do.
My poor
Getting
baby.
deeper and deeper into it.
My poor baby. At least we get, like, some good Dorian in these chapters, though. A little further down.
Yes.
What is that smile? Yeah, that was, like, a very, like...
Yes. Because I just can't wait to talk about it.
You have me scared.
It's nothing to be scared about. I just have something new to fixate on.
So chapter 54, Manon gets a letter that makes her absolutely snarl. A lead who's quietly trying to make her escape plan can't help but notice Manon's fury. Manon then tells Aelin that in 3 days, she and the 13 are headed north to a forest for a mission, and she warns Aelin to lie low while she's gone. Aelin is secretly hoping this means she can finally make her getaway. Manon prepares for this meeting, and it turns out the letter from her grandmother makes no mention of the terrible things happening to the Yellow Legs witches. Manon suspects the messengers are hiding things and plans to get answers later. The mission is a meeting with the King of Ardalan himself and his son right in Oakwald Forest, where the king wants to inspect the weapon her grandmother has been building. Manon doesn't care much about the meeting itself, but she hopes it will give her a chance to see the king who's doing the horrible things to the witches and tell her grandmother the truth. We end this chapter in Kaltain's POV, and we get some insight into her inner struggle and her shocking transformation. Her constant pain in her arm hurts worse than the collar and the demon prince inside her. Kaltain initially let the demon control her, but deep within herself, her shadow fire reawakened. Secretly, she began to consume the demon prince, taking larger and larger bites until she used her shadow fire to rip it apart from the inside, reducing it to mere ashes of malice. Now, Kaltain has mastered this new, terrifying power which the demon hated. She bides her time, letting others control her outwardly, but inwardly, she is transformed. She's forgotten her old name. Her new identity is Death, Devourer of Worlds.
Oh my god!
Oh!
She's so freaking cool!
It's... So now we have Lysandra and Kaltain that, like, you're initially meant to hate, and now you're getting, like, this little bit of, like, oh my god. It is so hard to keep myself in emotions as we're going through them. And to not jump ahead and be like, I love this person, or I hate this person.
Yeah. I think it's fair to assume that we pretty well love everyone besides Maeve. And the king.
And you never know. So, I'm not giving any solid one way or the other about any character. It's just like, meh.
I know. But I think even if they do turn out to be, like, villains, they're still, like, really cool characters.
Yeah.
Like, they're just built so good. And, like, looking at what Kaltain was like when she was first introduced in the series to what she is just from that one snippet of her POV.
Yeah.
Like, she is... It's crazy how powerful she is now. And I don't know, like, all the shit that she had to go through to get to... I mean, she was inside eating away at the demon that was in her. Like, what the hell? But also, I didn't put it in the notes. It mentions in her POV that there was this, like, golden flame, I think it said, that she used to play with in her hands, like, secretly as a kid.
Okay.
And that's what transformed, I guess, into, like, the shadow fire. But it was just really cool getting that little tidbit too. Like, what the hell was Kaltain?
Shadow mommy.
Yes, I'm totally okay with that. Yes, ma'am. Chapter 55. So we're back in Aelin's perspective, and it's just before sunrise, but she's being woken up by Rowan, who is looking pretty grim. He tells her that someone broke into the warehouse, and by the time she gets up and gets down there, Rowan and Aelin are just instantly armed, and they're just ready for a fight. But what they find is Evangeline sobbing on the stairs. She's terrified. Evangeline tells Aelin that Lysandra has been taken by the king's men. It turns out Arobin, even in death, had one last nasty trick up his sleeve. His will revealed Lysandra's shape-shifting abilities and her bloodline. The king's men came to take both Lysandra and Evangeline, but Lysandra fought them off and told Evangeline to run to Aelin. Aelin is completely devastated and furious, realizing this was Arobyn's final revenge. Rowan, always practical, scoops up Evangeline and tells Aelin they need to get out of the warehouse now in case Arobyn betrayed her too. Aelin quickly decides to take Evangeline to Nesrin's father for safekeeping. But then Chaol and Nesrin burst in with more urgent news. The king, Dorian, and Manon are having a meeting in Oakwald tomorrow, and they're bringing a new prisoner to Morath. So Aelin immediately realizes that this is Lysandra, and she desperately orders Chaol and Nesrin, since they're humans, to go into the tunnels right away to rescue Lysandra before she's taken to Morath. Chaol hesitates, suggesting an ambush instead, but Aelin pleads with him, and oh my god, the way that like her voice cracks as she like says please, like the way that she is pleading with him. And so Nesrin steps in and she promises that they'll save Lysandra together. And Chaol just looks at Aelin's pained face, notices that she's staring at like the scars on his face, and just all of this brings them back to Nehemia and what happened. He vows never again, and Aelin is just left desperately wanting to believe him. Man, what an intense end to that chapter. Just the way that like there was so much pain there, because like Aelin remembering what happened with Nehemia, Chaol realizing that this could be a potential, I don't know, like to help him with his guilt, I think. But oh, chapter 56.
So they're hunched over a map, plotting their next move, rescuing Lysandra. The meeting point for the king and Manon is a secluded temple in Oakwald Forest, only accessible by 2 wobbly footbridges across the ravine. They figure the wyverns will arrive under the cover of darkness tonight. The group, Aelin, Rowan, Aedion, Nesrin, and Chaol, are sharpening their blades and going over the plan. They dropped off Evangeline with Nesrin's dad, who, bless his heart, is just focused on baking pies for their return. And you know those pies were gonna slap.
Yep.
Chaol asks what they'll do if Lysandra has a collar or a ring on, and Aedion bluntly says she'll lose a head or a finger. Aelin quickly shuts him down, saying she makes that call. When Chaol asks about Dorian, Aelin is firm, not my call. Chaol, however, warns her, you do not touch him. Aelin then proposes they all paint themselves with wordmark for protection against the Balg Prince. They decide to arrive just before the king's meeting to avoid detection by the witch's keen sense of smell.
I'm glad that they brought that up, because the whole time that they were talking about like all this sneaking around the witches and stuff, I was just like we already know that they have like a stupidly good sense of smell. Like, how are they going to pull this off? But I'm glad that like they mentioned at least the witches.
Absolutely, yeah.
Good smell. Yeah.
Filling in those little plot holes.
Yeah.
Later, Aelin jokes that they could use Lorcan for this mission, despite him being a psychotic bastard. Rowan and Aedion discuss how Lorcan might react to Aedion's heritage, potentially using it against Gabriel. They also touch on the idea of other Fae helping, but Aedion believes most were wiped out or stuck in their animal forms. The conversation eventually leads to Rowan telling Aelin she should be sleeping. She complains about the lumpy bed, and then the topic turns to their fears. Aelin admits she can't bury another friend, and Rowan reassures her she won't have to. We get another little crumb of affection between Rowan and Aelin. My heart.
I know.
He tells her, when we get back, remind me to prove you wrong about every thought that just went through your head. I'll even let you decide on how I tell you, with words or with my teeth and tongue. Rowan, the man you are. The man that you are.
Oh my god.
After some touching and feeling and heavy breathing, and don't forget the nail scraping, Rowan is forced to dunk a pitcher of cold water all over himself.
Uh, so we are back with Aelin, Rowan, Adian, Kale, and Nesserin. They're all deep in Oakwald Forest. They're camouflaged, moving super quietly. Adian and Rowan, with their amazing face senses, are leading the way. So they're heading towards the meeting spot, and they climb up some of the tall trees to get a better view, and they get their first glimpse. Enormous wyverns, some with saddles, lounging in the meadow. And even, I think she even mentions Abraxas,
The iron tail, the poison
yeah,
tail.
but something to do with, like, around the flowers.
Oh.
How she actually, like, I gotta go back and find, okay. Yeah. So only 13 wyverns were grounded in the meadow. The smallest of them was sprawled on his belly, face buried in a mound of wild flowers. Iron spikes gleamed on his tail in lieu of bone, scars covering his body like cat's stripes, and his wings. She knew the material grafted there, spider silk. So, like, just that, that sweet baby, just frolicking in the wildflowers. I love it. But yeah, she notices the spider silk on the wings, and she does mention, like, how that must have cost, like, a fortune. And then she, like, has this realization that their little group would be absolutely toast against even one of the wyvern, let alone the whole army of them. And then they spot the Iron Teeth Witches. Again, there's only 13 of them grounded, but they're incredibly powerful and beautiful. She mentions that, like, of all different hair colors, skin colors, just,
Yeah.
and I thought that was a nice, like, a pretty cool visual to have there. And then Aelin immediately spots the wing leader, a stunning woman with moonlight white hair and golden eyes.
Yeah, she said it's like the most beautiful woman she ever seen or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, she thinks she's the most beautiful and most horrifying person she's ever seen. She's instantly terrified for her friends and Terrasen, realizing any army they raise would be annihilated. Rowan tries to reassure her, reminding her that she's taken down powerful witches before. As more horses and wyverns approach, they realize the matron of the Blackbeak clan is arriving, along with the king of Ardalan and a covered prison wagon. The tension is unbearable, but then the worst sight. They see Dorian, and he's riding next to his father with a black collar around his neck and absolutely nothing human in his face. Oh, oh my god. The next chapter. The next chapter.
The next chapter is long.
Yes. But it's so good.
Fuck. Okay, fuck it. It's not a spoiler. I was giddy reading this chapter.
I was too. That's why I was messaging you, like, literally, like, quotes everything that I was reading.
I was like, there's no way I'm gonna, like, be able to shut off emotions for this chapter. Like, absolutely
I'm not.
none. So, we're back in chapter 58. We're back with Manon's POV. Her grandmother arrives first with a covered wagon, giving Manon a harsh warning to stay silent and out of the way. Then the king of Ardalin's party rides in, and Manon immediately notices a strange, non-human scent from their prison wagon. The king dismounts, radiating cruelty, but the most chilling sight is Dorian, riding beside his father, and a cold, inhuman look in his sapphire eyes. He even smirks at Manon like he knows her. Ah! When the matron introduces Manon to the king, Manon is deliberately defiant. She refuses to grovel and even makes a sarcastic remark about it, much to her grandmother's fury and the king's amusement. The king then wants to see what's in the matron's wagon, but he tells Manon to have his son entertain her, essentially shutting her out from seeing the mysterious weapon. Womp womp.
I want to see.
Manon approaches Dorian. Kale, who's hidden nearby with Aelin, is devastated to see his friend looking so empty, his soul clearly taken over by a demon. He feels guilty for having run from Dorian before and believes it would be a mercy to kill him now. We get some more interesting insight into Dorian here. Yes, we do. We're in his POV again, but he's definitely more aware of himself, and the demon is thrashing inside him as Manon gets closer to him. Don't let the witchling get too close, the eyes of the Valg Kings.
That demon is awful afraid of Manon's eyes.
Huh.
Uh-huh.
So Manon starts to provoke Dorian, calling him Princeling.
I love how we finally get the Princeling and Witchling.
There's like halfway into the series, you finally understand our whole, like, catchphrase.
Yep. I have to find it. Hello, Princeling. Hello, Witchling.
Yeah, clearly no hiding anything. I physically cannot hold in my emotion. Like, I'm fucking hot just thinking about it. You can see how red my skin has gone. Like, there is no hiding it.
No, there's no containing that.
So after calling him Princeling, in a chilling exchange, Dorian responds, but with the words that sound like his own, making the demon inside him recoil in fear and rage. She asks, but would you bleed red or black? And he responds with, I'll bleed whatever color you tell me to. Ah! Yes, sir! Yes, ma'am! Yes, sir! Yes, both of you! Mommy, daddy, yes.
Mommy, daddy. Oh.
I don't need a collar. I'm just saying. So, this feels so much more like the Dorian that we know. She mocks him for being leashed like a dog, and he responds with increasingly suggestive remarks, saying he wants her to do a lot of things to me.
Mm-hmm.
Manon smiles, releases his collar, and tells him to find her again.
Yes. But, like,
the amount of release I feel from finally being able to talk about this a little bit.
I was like, can I ship them now? Can I?
I like kind of ignored that when you said it. I was just like, hey, and that was it. And I was just like trying to like brush it off. But like, there's no, I can't. There's none.
No. Nope.
Mommy and daddy.
But so yeah, I'm just super stoked about Manon bringing Dorian out because I thought he was a goner and I didn't know how like he was going to come back to himself. And now obviously Manon has a foot in it.
So, while all this is happening, a distraction orchestrated by Rowan, Nesrin, and Aelin, making the wyverns roar, allows Aelin to sneak up to the prison wagon. She quickly picks the lock and finds Lysandra inside, beaten and bruised, but thankfully no collar or ring. Aelin and Rowan help Lysandra escape into the forest.
And then they dog the guard bodies into the wagon.
Right, yeah.
That was okay. I mean, smart.
It's gonna be a little surprise when they get to Morath. Aelin's group retreats, relieved to have Lysandra safe. Aedion wants to attack the king, but Aelin disagrees. She won't take them on without her magic. And that is like the smartest decision about fighting that she's made in this series thus far. Because she is known to just bulldoze into any kind of conflict.
Not really think on it.
Now, like, there's always like a plan or two in place, but she's very just like head first.
Yeah.
So back in the clearing, the matron viciously slaps Manon across the face, leaving blue blood streaming down from her cheek. The matron is furious that Manon questioned her and says she burned all the letters Manon had wrote her. She forced Manon to look into the wagon's contents. Manon, though clearly seething with rage, bows her head and silently accepts her grandmother's command. She walks into the wagon.
Will she just hurry up and kill her grandmother and then be the high witch? What are they called?
Matron?
Yeah. High something though. Like the way that sometimes they word it. High witch? I don't remember. Anyways, but yeah. She just needs to hurry up and kill her grandmother.
Yeah. That'd be nice. So Aelin and Rowan, along with Aedion and Nesrin, use this distraction to make their escape. They head back to where Kale is with Lysandra, however, find her breathing hard against the tree, and Kale is gone. Because of course he is.
See that happening. Fucking Kale.
Fucking Kale.
I miss my poor baby Kale from the first 2 books.
So I think this is the first slew of chapters in a long time where we do end on a cliffhanger.
Yes.
Or like in intense moments. Like,
yes.
I did not want to stop reading this next chapter.
I didn't. To be fair, I did not leave this one on a cliffhanger. I did go on into chapter 60 because I could not leave it like that. Usually I don't go into the next chapter because I want like the whatever, but yeah, with this one I went into chapter 60. I had to. I couldn't leave it like that. So, our final chapter of this episode. And again, we're back in Dorian's mind. So the moment that the king returned, the demon seized control of Dorian again, shoving him back into a mental torment. But a faint memory of Manon's golden eyes and her name, Manon, lingers as a promise of death and release, a tiny spark of hope in his dark mind. Meanwhile, Kale is on a desperate mission. Of course he is. He's determined to kill Dorian to prevent the king from taking him back to the castle. He stealthily approaches the king's party, dagger in hand. He's prepared to make the ultimate sacrifice. But when he breaks through the trees, he does not find the king. Instead, he finds himself face to face with the 13 and their wyverns, who all turn and just smile at him like lamb to the slaughter. Kale, you idiot. What did he think he was going to accomplish?
Yeah.
Like, really? Really.
No one said the man was smart.
No, I know. Aelin, Rowan, and Adian are hot on Kale's heels, trying to save him from his reckless move. They've left Nesrin to guard Lysandra, and they burst into the clearing to find Kale captured by Manon, who has her iron nails digging into his throat. The prison wagon is now open, revealing the 3 dead guards inside. So they're like we know you took her. Manon, seeing Rowan, taunts him. She's like, ooh, I haven't seen one of you in a long time. And about how she would, I don't know, was it like bed and then slaughter Fae men? Like, get it, girl.
It's like Black Widow of Fae.
Yeah. But she does mention like how the one that like that she has killed were like young, new, but she thinks that he would definitely put up a bigger struggle.
Yeah.
So yeah. She reveals her iron teeth and refusing to release Kale, but in a desperate move, Aelin drops Goldrin and offers herself as a hostage in exchange for Kale. Manon then demands to know who Aelin is, and Aelin proudly declares, Aelin Galathinius, Queen of Terrasen. And Manon is Manon is clearly surprised but intrigued. The tension builds as Manon sizes up Aelin and her companions, and after a moment of consideration and probably realizing Aelin is more trouble than she's worth as a captive, Manon surprisingly says she has no interest in prisoners or battling today and shoves Kale towards Aelin. Aelin breathes a sigh of relief, thinking they're safe. But then, because she can't keep her big fat mouth shut, she jabs at Manon, says that she is smarter than Baba Yellowlegs. And this instantly triggers Manon's fury. Especially when Aelin reveals the scars on her neck which smell of witch killer. So enraged, Manon lunges at Aelin. Like, why? Why did she just do that? Yeah. What was the logic there? She was literally about to just let them go. No bloodshed at all. And then she's just like, you're smarter than Baba Yellowlegs. Oh my god. Why? So, at one point in that last paragraph, last little bit of Manon's POV, she says about how like Aelin can't even stay like standing still. Like she's moving her legs around and like she's just not staying still. Turns out Aelin is marking like a word mark with Kale's blood. And then she unleashes a spell which freezes Manon in place, and it just gives them precious few seconds to escape. But they bolt for the temple across the ravine, and I mean, we already know it's like a treacherous path with like the 2 flimsy bridges, and they sprint across the first bridge with Rowan yelling at Aelin to hurry, because that's just what you need. Somebody yelling at you to hurry up. And just as she reaches the temple rock, Manon breaks free of the spell and she charges across the first bridge with unbelievable speed. Of course she does. Then a golden-haired lieutenant witch fires 2 arrows at Aelin. Rowan shoves Aelin out of the way, and he takes 2 of the arrows directly through his shoulder. And that's how we end the chapter.
That's it.
That's how it ends. Oh my god, Rowan.
What a horrible spot to end.
It went through. It's a clean shot, right? Just through his shoulder. He's fine. He's totally fine. Oh boy. Aelin, you dumb bitch. Remember how many times I was all like, oh, Aelin's so smart. Fucking eating my words now because that was the dumbest thing I've ever seen her do. Can somebody please tell me why she just did that?
Like, the entire, prior to any physical or, like, in-person interaction, when they were just watching, they're like, our little group is never going to win. Like, I had a hard enough time with one witch, let alone a whole fucking clan of them, plus the wyverns, plus the king and Dorian. Oh, let's go and poke the fucking bear when it's just like the three of you. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
I keep telling myself she's pretty good at having plans that she doesn't share with like the reader or her party. So maybe there's some sort of like logical plan here that she knows that we're just not privy to yet. But I don't think. Oh god.
Yeah, that was dumb.
Stupid. I have to read you something because I seen like where you ask ChatGPT to roast things like books or whatever, and I got it to roast Throne of Glass.
That's asking for
And-
fucking spoilers.
No, it was just Throne of Glass, like not the series, like the book, the first book.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so it says time to roast Throne of Glass, aka Hot Assassin, the YA Power Fantasy Edition. Throne of Glass is about a legendary assassin who spends more time picking dresses and flirting than actually assassinating anyone. Selena Sardathian walks into a death castle, demands a wardrobe upgrade, and somehow becomes a deadly mix of Katniss Everdeen, Regina George, and a Sephora Rewards member. We're told she's the most feared killer in the land, but you'll have more action from her love triangle than her dagger. Half the book is her dramatically sighing on balconies while ancient evil stirs, probably just bored waiting for her to stop monologuing about books, chocolate cake, and how beautiful she is. Sarah J. Maas really said, what if murder, but with mascara and court politics no one asked for? So yeah, that was pretty funny.
Is there any other podcast out there called Caffeine and Conjuring?
I don't think so.
Because I just asked ChatGPT to roast us.
Let me see. Nope. It's just us. What did it say?
So I give you ChatGPT roasting Caffeine and Conjuring. And
Oh no.
I'm guessing this is based off of just what we put in the written summaries as opposed to the episodes. So some things are a little off, but other things... Anyways. Oh, Caffeine and Conjuring, huh? Let's brew a little shade.
Am I going to cry? Is this going to hurt my feelings?
1. Hosting duo dynamics. One host rattles on like a malfunctioning espresso machine, forcefully pushing energy with zero focus. The other chimes in occasionally like a battery-operated toy, only to run out of charge before delivering anything actually interesting.
Okay, well, that's rude.
2. Names a paradox. Going by caffeine, I expected my ears to be buzzing. What I got instead was a snooze fest that slowly simmers down like decaf at 3 p.m. As for conjuring, I was hoping for spells or wizardry, not amateur-grade ghost stories that barely spook a houseplant.
Oh, jeez.
3. Production value. Audio quality feels like an old phone call in a basement seance. If they're trying to set a spooky vibe, congrats. You can hear the ghost saying, "This mic is terrible."
Oh my god. Oh my god, that felt very targeted. Other than like the ghost stories. Like I think
there's more.
Is there? Okay.
There's 8.
Oh Jesus.
The magic trick? Bragging about deep research. Please, researching absurd creatures on Wikipedia at 2 a.m. doesn't exactly conjure mastery. That's like claiming chef status after microwaving instant noodles.
Oh.
Caffeine content. Listeners are promised a jolt. What they get is more like wakey wakey with a side of rest-breaking indie bore. The real magic trick is staying awake through the episode. But hey, credit where credit is due. They haven't conjured up all right opinions yet, so you could say their only supernatural power is harmlessness.
Womp womp.
All in good fun, but if the podcast wants real magic, they should conjure better audio, tighter content, and host with actual chemistry instead of lullaby-level droning.
Oh my god.
Jesus, I said roast, not fucking destroy.
Yeah. Oh my god, we're charred.
A couple of those felt a little too personal.
Yeah. The battery operated. Because I never finished my sentences. Oh my god. Oh man, that hurt a little.
Yeah. A little bit.
All in good fun though.
Yeah, as soon as you said that you asked the roast on a glass, I'm just like, I wonder, can they roast us? Oh, yeah. They can. Mission accomplished.
They can also roast, because I've done it with podcast with Rebecca. Take a screenshot of your Instagram feed and ask them to roast your Instagram. And it gets brutal. Yeah.
Oh boy. You should do that to ours.
I will.
We'll cry again next time.
Okay. Roast our Instagram.
Don't know if my heart can take this.
Let's stir the cauldron and cast a little lovingly savage roast spell on your Instagram. Caffeine and Conjuring. Brew's hot and the snark is spiced. Let's do this. The vibe check. You're rocking the dark academia, witchy, bookish coven aesthetic like a pro, but it's also giving, I summoned Canva at midnight under a full moon and this is what appeared.
Listen, those graphics ChatGPT, no one asked that specific, okay? You leave me and my Canva app alone and my midnight editing. Don't want to hear it.
A few of those graphics are hauntingly similar. Repetitive layout spells are being overcast. Mix it up, witches. Maybe summon some carousels, memes, behind-the-scenes chaos, or spellbinding reels.
I'm working on graphics. It, okay? That's what I've been working on.
The new episode posts are about as subtle as Rhysand's smirk. And just as powerful, but also they're all the same layout. After a few scrolls, even Amryn would yawn. Consider giving each episode its own identity. A quote, a character mood board, a cursed object from the plot. Get creative with your dark arts. Also, these episode quotes, iconic, but slap the episode number and the title somewhere in the clear space so the scroll-happy mortals don't have to do extra work to find what they're looking for. Profile magic. Grab your brewing grimoire is chef's kiss, but also your bio could use a little spice from the cauldron. Right now, it's basically a teaser. Give us the podcast hook in one snappy scroll-stopping line. What makes you different from every other bookish podcast out there? Blah, blah, blah. Your faces, finally! We love to see the witches behind the mic. More of this. Summon more selfies, more recording day shenanigans, more bookshelf thirst traps. You know the ones. Angled lighting, 10 candles, cozy sweaters, and one suspiciously aesthetic open book. There's quite a bit more. TLDR, your Instagram in roast form. You're the dark sorcerers of podcast branding, but maybe put down the repetition rune before you enchant your audience into Snoozeville. Summon more variety with personality and lean into the chaos that makes your pod sparkle like a fey dagger at dawn.
Listen, it's in the works, okay? I've been working on trying to change up the look of our page so it's all not the same.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been trying to add more stuff, so we're already working on it. We're working on it.
Yes. Yeah.
Calling me out for the midnight Canva, though, was uncalled for.
Yeah, that's rude. That's rude.
Everything else I know. But that was rude.
Yeah, so that's fun.
Well, as for the episode, I don't think I have anything else to say about the chapters that we read. Because anything I want to say is very spoilery, so...
I just want more Dorian and Manon.
Oh. Me too. Me too. Well, until next week. Hopefully our episodes aren't too repetitive for you. And we'll see you soon.
Feel free to roast us, though.
Yeah.
That's just
yeah.
funny.
Please roast us in the comments. We love it.
And with that, our Coven summoning comes to a close. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button on Spotify or Apple Podcasts.
And follow Caffeine and Conjuring on Instagram and TikTok to stay up to date on our journey through Throne of Glass. Adventure